Everybody, welcome to our session today. First of all, for anyone who doesn't know me, my name is Nikki Cooper. I am the Sales Director of Ex Libris' Research Suite. I recognise many names in the audience, so hello to you, and many ones, hello and welcome. This is our first Research Suite webinar for the UK and Ireland. Just a quick note on that, we deliver according to language, just in case you're wondering. A little bit of background from me. The Research Suite here at Ex Libris includes Research Professional, that many of you are already very familiar with, and Esploro, our brand new product. I'm very happy to tell you that Esploro is now live with our first customers around the world, and more in the final stages of implementation. Very briefly, Esploro is our research information platform that aims to make your research more open, seamless, and connected. It supports the researcher from the very beginning of their idea, finding the funding, doing the research, right through to completion, writing about it, and then showing the impact. It's cloud-based, it automates data capture, it provides reporting tools, analytics, and benchmarking, as well as CRIS capabilities, allowing you to ultimately replace a number of legacy systems with a modern, seamless platform. As a business, we support the researcher, the research support teams, and the library to share information, reducing administration, reducing manual work, reducing duplication, and saving time and improving workflows across the whole institution. And furthermore, Esploro integrates with Research Professionals' database, so relevant funding opportunities automatically populate researchers' profiles. And I'm sure I don't need to tell you, dwell on the benefits of this one. So it is now my pleasure to hand over to my colleague, Ghislain, who is our sales specialist for Esploro, who will show you the product in more detail. So enjoy the session, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Nikki. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ghislain. I'm from the Research Solution team at Ex Libris, and I will present to you today our solutions suite for research that is composed of Esploro for research management, as well as Research Professional and Pivot for research funding. So I will start the presentation with a short PowerPoint, and I will show you where we are now today with Esploro, how we integrate as well our funding opportunities within the researcher profiles, and as well show you what the new user interface will look like in a few releases, and to serve not only the researchers, but as well the research office and any research staff that will enable them to work better in for the research output. I'm just going to change the settings. Okay. So basically, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to use the chat, and I will answer them as soon as possible. And we can have as well a Q&A session at the end of the webinar. It should last a maximum of 1 hour, and then we'll be able to go through everything that time. When you look at, in fact, the research information landscape, there are still some key questions coming from institutions in order to be able to have an overview and be able to disseminate as well the whole research output, to be able to answer questions from the research office, from the managers, from what's coming as a production from the researchers. And some of them, in fact, I try to display them here and answer them with the solution that we provide at Ex Libris. And I will show you as well how we intend to do that with our research information management systems. So what we gather from our customers is that they want to have, in fact, one system to manage a whole research process if possible. There are many siloed systems in terms of repository, of CRIS, of research data management, of grant admin systems that are not always interoperate together, that are not always collecting all the data that can be retrieved at the end for data analysis. And other questions relate to the fact that there are a lot of burden on manual input from the faculty, from researchers, from staff, from the research office to capture data, to release and promote as well this type of data. And they want to have a solution that can help them as well to streamline more regularly this type of task. The same goes for the way they want to promote or to showcase, give more visibility to their research in order to identify maybe experts to collaborate better internally and externally, and to provide better services to their researchers, and as well showcase their research to funders or organizations. And we provide as well via research professionals some tools to allow our customers to have a better overview of the way they can attract better funders according to their research areas, or they can as well understand in a kind of a roadmap or insight funding opportunities, where they're coming from, which areas, which locations, from which partners, for instance. And the same ways go for the researchers. The researchers, in fact, are the people, in fact, that will be able to help the institution promote better the research. So they want to have a profile that will showcase every opportunity that they have, any achievement, any prize, any production of assets or publications, and any way as well they can collaborate with other researchers in order to increase their impact, and as well provide some analytics in order to benchmark not only against other institutions, but internally as well, in order to have different departments to see how they work together. So we provide, in fact, a suite of solutions that will enable us to help our customers to manage all the research information systems and data in order to collect the data, to link to funding, for instance, to be able to attract partners, to comply with publishers or funders' requirements, and in the same way, in order to disseminate and showcase all the research output in profiles and some public portals that you can use and adapt to the way they want to portray the research. And at the end, we can provide as well advanced analytics via data intelligence. We provide tools in order to give you this reporting out of the box, in order as well to connect with external systems via API, to collect the data from our systems and to display externally. And you can have as well a more complete overview of your research output. Having said that, we try as well to understand how we can help the researcher through his journey from collecting data, from identifying grant funders, from publishing, how they can as well collect or deposit their research, how it can be managed by the research staff, and at the end, how the research office can help display this type of research production. So I try, in fact, to, through our systems, how we can help the researcher achieve that. So basically, we look at a researcher that wants to identify relevant literature in order to publish, identify grants and funding opportunities. They will use various systems, maybe not available through the institutions, and they might not be able to convey all this data in one go. It might take them some time to do all this. So the researcher, in fact, having gone through the systems, will be able to locate funding opportunities, find collaborators, and submit the grants. Then they will be able to publish, then deposit data into the systems that can be managed by different teams, where they can as well comply maybe with open access policies or with funders policies. Then the researchers, in fact, will be able to have a page or a profile that will be created, populated, and updated automatically by our systems, and to give them the ability to showcase and disseminate the research, and where as well we can integrate together different databases from Exlibris, from Esploro, which is in fact the research information management systems, and the funding opportunities from our new combined funding database, which are research professional and pivot, in order to collect the profiles from both platforms and push relevant funding calls to the researcher on its profile. At the end, what we want to provide as well for every stakeholders, from the researchers, the support staff to the research office, is to provide a platform where they will be able to collect the data and be able to have an overview of what's been published and how they can push this output to have better visibility. The Esploro, in fact, is composed of two specific platforms. The basic one is a research repository, where we can collect every research asset that's been published by researchers in one place, all connected. And we use a new technology called smart harvesting in order to collect the majority of assets. The smart harvesting is based on our central index at Exlibris that contains almost 4 billion items. So we have, in fact, in store the majority of what's been published globally, and we enrich the metadata with our new technology based on machine learning. So the system, in fact, will learn over time from a researcher paper containing metadata like affiliation, collaborations, where they publish, for instance, funding opportunities, and it will match, in fact, from the smart harvesting to the researcher profile to have a better and complete metadata in order to have better dissemination of research. The other part of Esploro that will be developed within the next few releases is that we will as well have a complete research information management systems, two-in-one basically, which will be in fact more of the CRIS functionalities, where we'll be able to provide more research showcasing, not only in terms of outputs, but as well in terms of projects, in terms of achievement, of funding opportunities, where we'll be able to identify through a public portal expert in a specific field of research, where you can collaborate better, where you can add as well metrics to analyze better the impact of the researcher coming from external sources, if possible. All this coming together as well with our funding databases, where we can collect the data and match the profiles from both platforms to provide a unique platform to have an overview of the research output. And at the end, we provide as well research analytics that can be basic, based on a repository, but more advanced as well, in order to identify better the way your researcher produces research and better identify collaboration globally. I want to talk as well about our funding and insight portal, research professional and pivot, which are part of the research suite of Exlibris, which are not only for Esploro, the research management systems, but in fact, research professional is our online service of research funding, news and insights, and we provide researchers and decision makers with news and analysis on research policies, as well as data on awarded grants, for instance. So, in fact, this is a comprehensive source of funding opportunities, both globally and locally. Here you can have an example of how many opportunities we have, for instance, in the UK. I will show you in a few moments our dashboard that will show you, in fact, a map of what you can identify globally per country. And it will as well enable institutions to raise the research funding. It can save time, improve efficiencies in workflow, bring research policies and knowledge to funding applications, and help make better strategic decisions. We provide as well research professional news, where we have a team of editors, in fact, that will collect data globally, where we can have news about research and specific areas of research opportunities. And this way, we can have a database that will be able to provide more complete data from our funders, for instance. I got one question I will answer straight away. And the question is, which sources are used for smart harvesting into the repository? At the moment, we use a central discovery index from Exlibris, which is the index that we collect from our discovery platforms, Primo and Summon, that contains 4 billion items. And we have a team of editors that we collect data from providers like publishers directly or from aggregators, and we collect data from different sources. We will add more sources in the future coming from systems like OpenAir, Crossref, to be able to enhance this central index and have better, a more complete collection of data from different publications. So research professionals, in fact, and Pivot are coming together right now. So we have a more complete platform of funding opportunities globally. So Pivot is our equivalent in North America, for instance. Research professional is more focused on European and Asian market. So these two platforms are coming together to provide a more comprehensive database of research opportunities that will as well provide more features like profiles for researchers that will allow them to identify collaborators, for instance, and that will allow them to have a more complete platform in order to identify funding opportunities. Here, for instance, what we try to do is to integrate this data into Esploro. So you can see a researcher profile here that will as well show in the demo. And we will push according to this researcher research areas that you can see on the left, mostly around learning, language, for instance. We push funding opportunities directly to the researcher profile. And at the end, they can either look at these recommendations. They can as well go directly into the funding database from the researcher profile in Esploro, and then identify maybe an opportunity by clicking on a link and access to the platform on Research Professional and Pivot. So this way it will shorten, in fact, the path for the researcher to identify funding, limiting as well the way they have into entering keywords into the platform and filtering the data, use facets. And it can as well leverage the use of this platform, subscribed mainly by the research office, have more return on investment in order it's been used by researchers and other stakeholders. So I will show you this as well live in a demo, but it's just to tell you that this integration is quite something unique that will combine a powerful database of funding to a profile that is automatically created for the researcher from smart harvesting, that is automatically populated by the systems, and that will as well update any information from the researcher from the back office in Esploro. We collect as well grant information in Esploro, and we will in fact connect this grant information to the researcher profile automatically in the systems. So once a publication is identified by the smart harvesting, it will match this publication to the researcher from the researcher profile in Esploro. And then when an article from this researcher as well is linked to a grant, it will be automatically linked to the researcher profile. So there again, reducing the manual input from different stakeholders in order to have a maximum of information in one platform in order to collect grant information, for instance. At the end, we will always be able to collect some analytics by the information that is collected in Esploro. We do support as well open research. There are some requirements from funders, from publishers. We have workflow in place to integrate all of this into the platform. So there again, cutting the manual input from the staff or the admin person looking at this type of workflow. So we have open access support in repository. We have as well some open access support for national assessment. For instance, the REF in the UK, we recently introduced into Esploro some specific field on each asset page where you can input maybe some national assessment reporting, for instance. It can be done on any country. For instance, we're working with some specific partners in order to make this available into the platform. And at the end, you can as well use the analytics to push this information into a specific format. And the same goes for funders. And Plan S, we already have some workflow in place to support this scheme. The first standards are always implemented in each workflow in Esploro. For instance, we will soon provide the link between Esploro and ORCID, meaning that from an Esploro research profile, researcher can apply for ORCID and then synchronize the data. And in the next few releases, we'll be able as well to do this type of synchronization the other way, meaning that from ORCID, a researcher can populate Esploro and automatically enrich the metadata coming from the smart harvesting. APCs are a big topic as well in research management in order to comply with publication and pay fees from publishers. This is in fact a workflow or feature that is mostly managed manually. And early next year, we will as well input some automated workflow for APCs where managers will be able to manage automatically into the systems the way the researchers can request an APC, the way it can be as well approved by the managers, and as well at the end always pull some reports into Esploro, and where we can link as well according to manage better the budget, we can link the financial systems into Esploro in order to better manage the way these APC fees are managed. Finally, analytics. So we try to go further or beyond the standard analytics that we retrieve in systems without necessarily going through the bibliometrics, but only in fact to have a better overview of what's been published into your institutions. We can have questions about collaboration, for instance. We can pull a collaboration map internally and externally, for instance. We can see the researcher influence, linking a researcher with collaborators, either external collaborators or internal, and link, in fact, this collaboration by topic, a specific domain, for instance. You can see for each faculty or department what are the researchers working on, and at what stage they are in the projects, for instance, and the top field of study, the top field of research in your institutions. Maybe as well link the specific area of research together, looking at maybe an area of research in chemistry, collaborating regularly with area of research of psychology, for instance, and see the link between this type of collaboration by pulling some analytics easily, either out of the box, or you can create yourself easily with Esploro new visualization analytics. At the end, what we're trying to do is to connect every stakeholder into one platform. Each stakeholder would have an area of Esploro they can use. They don't have to deal with areas of Esploro they don't want to deal with. They only have to deal with what they support. That can be as well include workflows from open access compliance. It can be used as well to retrieve national assessments or even internal faculty assessments, and that can be used as well to measure impact in every way, either could be societal impact or even production impact, and use all this for reporting. My last slide, in fact, will go to show you what are the key benefits that we provide with our research suite solutions. The main one is to provide more efficient workflows, remove or try to minimize the manual input from different stakeholders, and have automated workflows that will allow you to manage better the way your systems work together, not only using Exlibris higher education cloud, for instance, but as well connecting easily with external systems and synchronize the systems to exchange data both ways. We try as well to minimize the burden put on the researchers. So from the smart harvesting that we provide in Esploro, that will automatically collect the data based on artificial intelligence, we will as well create, in accordance with the researcher profile in the back office, public researcher profile automatically for the researcher, so they don't have to do it themselves. The system will do everything if you want to. There still can be some manual verification or manual input, but if you want to, the system can manage everything from creation, from population and update of researcher profile with data coming from the back office of Esploro. The smart harvesting is something unique. We have the largest central index on the market. We will as well include more external sources in the future to collect more data in order to complete the research information management systems and make it more powerful. The analytics as well, I will show you the newest analytics that came in early this week that we use in fact to provide more advanced data about not only the repository side, but as well about the researchers, about the departments, in order to have a better overview of what's been published. Workflows to ensure compliance with open access regulation are already in place in the store and can be as well enhanced or even customized to your needs. And we provide a full SaaS solutions. There are monthly updates of the products coming from our roadmap, of course, as well as feedback from our customers. We have, as of today, around 24 customers worldwide, 5 in Europe, and the next 2 live should be live shortly. Some in Italy, some in the UK. We have some customers as well in Germany, in Denmark. We display some existing quiz systems and some existing repositories, and we're coming together from next year to have a better platform to complete a whole research information management solutions. I will stop here for the slide, and I will show you next 3 portals. The portal from the researcher point of view, what we're trying to do in order to help the researcher have a better profile and work better according to what's been published. I will show you our next or new user interface for the back office that can serve either the research admin staff or the research office, or both together. And as well, I will show you a public interface from one of our customers in Australia that is live, that we can share with you, that you can as well navigate and see how they build their research information systems in order to make the research output more visible worldwide.
Shizlan, can we start some questions before you go into the turn?
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if there's any in the chat, or if anyone wants to stop and ask any questions at this point before we look at the actual interface.
I cannot see any questions. But,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks.
Okay.
Let's plow on. Thank you.
So basically, I won't go into too much details. I won't explain what in a back office, but in fact, just to show you what we're trying to achieve in a store. So this is a basic researcher profile. We try to make it as easy as accessible as possible. Display all the information that are available to the researcher or to the public. And then you can, as well as an institution subscribing to Esploro, you can as well decide what type of information you want to display onto the researcher profile. So here, for instance, I got a professor with some research area on the left-hand side. We'll get some basic analytics that we will improve in the future. You will decide as well yourself what type of analytics you want to display on a researcher profile. And then I will talk about this dashboard here in a few seconds, but I want to show you, in fact, the output. So here it's just a demo platform. We have over 50 type of assets in Esploro. For instance, they can be seen here. So for each type of asset, we have different fields that will automatically adapt to each type, and that will allow us to complete the asset with the metadata according to what's been retrieved either in a central index from the smart harvesting, and you can as well yourself manually update this metadata. And we provide as well 50 custom fields. So this custom field, you can in fact yourself input any information that you want that might not be available on some publications that are relevant to your own organizations, that can be retrieved as well, exported in reports in analytics. We provide already metrics to all of our customers, and we're working with our partners, with customers, to include data from providers on metrics, such as Collaborator at the moment, and working with them to see with APIs what type of data they want to include into Esploro, either at the researcher profile level or at the back office level. We will provide as well some tabs around achievements or projects in the future. So this can be as well managed by yourself or even customized. So we can put any type of prize, achievement, teaching and learning you think that would be valuable for your researchers. And the timeline is something we try to make easier as well. On most platforms, to go through researcher CV or achievement, you have to scroll down a long page of data sometimes. So we try to make it easier here. So you can see in one go what type of funding they receive, which are the main collaborators, for instance, and you can as well choose what type of data you want to input here in order to make the timeline better. So this is a way, in fact, we want to make this researcher profile easier to read, easier to access, and easier as well to find information around this particular researcher. I talked earlier about the smart harvesting. So smart harvesting is an automated process that will work at the moment every week. So where we collect data about the researchers, the system will push the data into Esploro. Then it will match the data to the researcher. And then you have options to let the systems push the publications into the researcher portal automatically without any check from any admin person. You can have a choice as well for a person to check the data and then send this data to the researcher here. The researcher himself will look at the data and approve it, and then it will go through the next workflow to approve the deposit. Or you can have as well full manual input, either by the researcher or by the admin staff. All this, in fact, is allow us to give full opportunities for our customers to manage better their research output. We have as well, here as well, you can see the link from the researcher profile to our funding database. So because this person works mostly on language, linguistic, for instance, language learning, so the profile from this researcher match the profile in our research professional and pivot database of funding database, and we will push to this person some calls that, according to their profile, we think will be relevant to this researcher. And once they click on this link, it will take them directly into the platform. You can see our new pivot research professional platform with link to the researcher profiles, funding opportunities, as well as awarded grants and the news from research professionals that is available right now into the platform. And from there, this researcher here can have a look at the information provided for this particular funding opportunities. For instance, you can see here on the collaborating side which other potential collaborators are within the organizations or from outside the organization according to the profile retrieved in research professional pivot, for instance, and that will allow this particular researcher to have a better acquaintance with the platform itself and have the calls pushed to its profile. They can as well go to see every opportunity identified according to their profile. For instance, they can themselves go into the platform and query the platform by themselves if they want to. This is a way, in fact, for us to provide data into the researcher portal and as well identify maybe better some funding opportunities. For the researchers, this is in fact what we plan to do, something quick, simple, that will push every information automatically to the researcher profile. The researcher itself doesn't have to interact with his profile. It can be managed automatically or fully by the systems, by Esploro, or they can as well log into their profile and manage it if they want to. One more thing we try to do for the researcher is the way, in fact, I'm going to change profile. The way, in fact, we try to make the process easier for the researcher. What we learn from our customers' prospects is that in order to have better analytics at the end or better reporting, to comply better with the national assessments, for instance, the REF, the deposit of the researcher must be as complete as possible, following every workflow that are in place, any type of licenses, embargo required for this type of assessment. And for instance, when you look at a researcher deposit, for instance, what we're trying to do is to make it easier in order for the system to manage everything for the researcher. This is just an example of if it is done manually by the researcher. So all they have to do, that will query the central index here, is just have to accept the condition that will you will put into place that might take into account the embargo for each type of asset, for instance. And once they click on submit, that's it. It takes a few minutes or a few seconds in order to collect data. And if I go back, if I show you the metadata within this particular deposit, you can see that all this field has been automatically collected. We collect as well collaborations, so external collaborators that could be automatically collected into the systems. And I will show you at the end in analytics how we use this, in fact, to create collaboration networks. We can provide as well automatically collect ORCID numbers in order to connect as well researchers one to each other. Collecting, of course, all the metadata here for the abstract that will be used to build the profiles for the researcher, as well as the field of research. So the field of research, we use thesaurus from ProQuest. We can use as well the data collected from publications. You can use your own type of dictionary thesaurus if you wish to, and you can as well add some keywords manually. So all this, in fact, is very important at the beginning in order to collect all the metadata, and at the end, for the research office, for instance, to have all this metadata collected automatically and be able to connect or collect all this in reports. The same goes for grants. So we have a grant system in Esploro that will collect grants from different input that we can link automatically to the articles. You can as well choose to add the grant yourself if you think this is missing into the deposit. So for the researcher, for instance, our first customer went live last year, the University of Iowa. and a researcher used to put in average 9 minutes for a deposit, and when they moved to Esploro, it was taking them in average 2 minutes. So reduce the amount of time used by every stakeholder to collect data and pull at the end some reports and make their research output more visible. Any questions about the researcher portal? Also, let me go back. So the next step, in fact, it was to show you the next new user interface for Esploro. So this is what we're working on that will be available early next year. And we try to provide a platform that will serve every stakeholders. So this is a view from every stakeholder from the library or research office. If the research office only wants to see a specific part of Esploro, that can be done as well. So you can see here, for instance, this is for a specific department, the Department of Medicine, that can have a specific dashboard to have an overview of their research output. You can see at the top research assets, for instance, some analytics on about download, portal visits, for instance, funding opportunities collected for each researcher in this department or every researchers, and we put as well APC requests from this particular researchers in this department. You can see on the right-hand side the same. So if we have stakeholders only working in Esploro, you can see here some menus that are only available to what they're working on. It won't have to be everything about APC requests, for instance. You can have only maybe menus about national assessment to see what's been published, what's been submitted, for instance. And if you work as well on deposit from researchers, you can see who is working on what and what needs to be done for research deposit. So all this, in fact, will be customizable. You can, in fact, have only tools or modules that you can work on in Esploro. We will provide as well some analytics you can put in your dashboard. Some are about collaborations here, as well by countries. Some are about research areas, or about open access deposit, for instance. And the menus from Esploro will be available here. It can be about the repository, what's been deposited, or you can manage everything Esploro. The smart harvesting, you can manage the smart harvesting here, and as well publish your output to external portal like Google Scholar, for instance, or Google. We can as well publish to your own discovery platform through APIs if you want to. We have other menus about the researcher. This is very important, in fact, for the researcher profile. I will show you a researcher profile in a second that we take into account in order to collect the data, collect the metadata, the assets, in order to link the researcher profile to a funding database, Pivot Research Professional, in order to push relevant calls, for instance. About research management, we have other menus about APCs, about the way you manage your projects that will come into place next year, about the way you manage your grants. So this is already in Esploro. We're not grant management systems. We can, in fact, collect grant data into Esploro and link them to the relevant researchers. This is mostly about national assessment, so we can, in fact, provide a dashboard about national assessment, about specific requirements that can be put into the workflow from the researcher deposit and then managed better at the end for this type of assessments. And we provide as well analytics out of the box that you can use. You can as well subscribe to analytics. So if you are a manager, you want to retrieve or receive every week analytics about your research output, about your impact, about assessment, you can just subscribe to this analytics and receive an email every week with some a dashboard in different format, could be a PDF, PowerPoint, if you want to, in order to have a full overview of what's been done for your research output. I'm going to go back to the researcher here, for instance, to show you what we have here. So we have some researchers for this department. And if I take one as an example, James Hansen, and expand. This is what we plan to do for each researchers, have a full profile that will show you the current affiliation, for instance, even past affiliations or multiple affiliations. You can be affiliated to one institution and as well work in another. About the research topics, keywords used either from our thesaurus, collected from publications, or even entered manually by the institutions. Deposit and smart harvesting is very important, in fact, to see what's coming from the smart harvesting machine learning systems and what's been done for the researcher in terms of number of outputs. The same goes for assets. You can see for each type of assets, article, conference, what's been done for the researcher. You can have some great analytics on the right-hand side to see what type of assets for each researchers. And all this, in fact, you can even drill down deeper if you want to, in order to have a better overview of what's been done and see the files as well. You can decide what can be displayed in a profile for the researcher. And furthermore, we have as well information about grants. You can retrieve here that we collect automatically in a system. You can see for each researcher, for instance, the amount of money they receive, or active ones, or a history of what's been done. And the same goes for funding opportunities. So you can even drill deeper to see where they're coming from, for instance. And we will as well provide some alerts if a researcher submits a grant or want to apply for a grant, for instance. You can put some alerts in a system to tell to the researcher that limit date is coming to an end. You have to apply before that date. And the alert can be retrieved as well onto the researcher profile. It doesn't have to go into the system to check when the next deadline is due. And we will as well put more data about APCs. GMPs will come later, so we will as well have more feature about research data management in the researcher, as well as CV management. This is what we plan to do, in fact, from early next year, in order to provide a more complete platform for each stakeholder in order to manage better their researchers. Do you have any questions? Two more things. The first one is about analytics. In fact, I will show you first customers public portal. So the University of Sunshine Coast in Queensland, in Australia. So you can see here that we have different type of data that we input into the research portal. We will as well change the layout of this research portal early next year. We add more and more information into this portal from the researcher. So you can see here, for instance, for open access, something we try as well to enhance is to put forward or give more visibility to the social science and humanities, for instance. So if you look at this particular portal from these institutions, we have a large number of resource types. For instance, they were able with Esploro to disseminate even in more details each type of asset and not put everything in one generic field, for instance. And we provide as well some profiles. They are still working on their profile, but some are already available. These are public profiles. This is a bit different to what I showed earlier, which was a private profile, for instance. So these public profiles are information that they put available for everyone. They can choose what they want to show, and once the researchers sign in, the top right, they will have, in fact, more in-depth data about the research profile. This is just an example, in fact, of what can be done in order to give more visibility to your profile. This is a new analytic platform that we have. This one is mostly based on a researcher. So this is just some dashboard that we provide after the box. So this is a demo platform. Of course, we don't have much data, but still we can show you for this platform number of researchers, number of assets. You can see assets by affiliated, internal affiliated researchers that will come shortly. Let me refresh. It will give you as well information about collaboration network. So all this is coming from the repository and the research information management systems that will give you data about the way you can provide this type of analytics. I'm trying to refresh. I'll come back to this later. And finally, this is available as well on our website. It's just our funding dashboard. You can retrieve, can give you, in fact, the amount of calls, opportunities by country, for instance, by discipline, so you can have a look and see where it's coming from. It's powered by our database, Pivot, and Research Professional. And we have as well data by funders, by type, for instance. And we use all this, in fact, to make all the research suite from XLibris better. And of course, research professional news that we use, in fact, to our editors, our journalists provide on a regular basis. You can subscribe to specific news insight per region and receive this in your email in order to have specific news on a specific topic. While I'm waiting for this, in fact, I'm going to check if we have any questions. There's one, in fact, about the level of integration with the academic ecosystems. Basically, Esploro can integrate with other services, other platform, external systems. We integrate with HR, finance systems in order to provide a better researcher profile, for instance. We can as well synchronize the data from Esploro to an HR system, for instance, and vice versa, in order to have a more complete metadata enrichment. And we can as well, it will serve, in fact, for better assessment of systems. It can be used as well for funding services like Research Professional and Pivot. And it can be used as well for to manage better APCs in the future. So we have, in fact, an API platform that explains all this in order to have better overview of the way you can integrate with Esploro. Another question is about modules available in Esploro. Esploro, in fact, because it's two platforms in one, so we have, in fact, two modules. The basic one is the repository. We provide, if customer needs only the repository that comes with the data management, the smart harvesting, the profiles from the researchers, the basic profiles, a research portal to disseminate your research, And we will as well add APCs management and DMPs when available in the next release. The other modules is more complete. It is composed of the repository that will as well include the quiz functionality when they are available. That will come into Esploro in the next release next year. So we have the advanced modules, which is the repository, and the quiz features when they will be available. Looks like my analytics don't work today, so I will just show you, in fact, the basic one that we have at the moment. Are there any other questions? So I will summarize, in fact, what I talked about today. So basically, Esploro is the research suite from Exlibris. It's a suite of solutions that we provide. We have research information management systems, Esploro, that include as well funding databases like Research Professional and Pivot. Both are separate subscription, and we include them into each other in order to provide a more complete research solutions. And all of this, in fact, all of the solutions is based on the Exlibris Higher Education Cloud that is fully managed by us with monthly release. And in terms of open access, even though that we are a commercial company, all the data related to open access belongs to the customers. We don't own anything, so we make some platform storage as well available to our customers, and they have the right to manage this data, especially about open access, the way they want it. So we just provide a platform, in fact, to better manage the whole research management landscape in order to provide more efficient processes and more efficient workflow to each stakeholders, from the research office, researchers, and the support staff. I don't know if you have any more questions. That will be all for me. So,
thank you, Ghislain. If there are no questions here, please feel free to drop us an email. We will send you out a follow-up with the recording, and we hope to hear your feedback. Speak to you again soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good day. Bye-bye.